In today's story, a young man seeks wealth through his own entitlement, but soon finds out there's no perfect way to quick riches. Don't lose your head in today's tale. The streets of London were cloaked in a thick fog that seemed to clutch at the air, obscure in the quaint houses and cobblestone streets. In the heart of the eerie setting stood a small, debilitated house that belonged to an old woman named Agatha. Agatha, a mysterious figure in the neighbourhood, was known for her peculiar ways and her constant companion, a black cat named Salem. Jeremy, a man in his 30s, with a history of questionable choices and a string of failed endeavours, found himself desperate for money. His only living relative, Aunt Agatha, was rumoured to be wealthy, despite her never having worked a day in her life. Intrigued by the prospect of financial assistance, Jeremy decided to pay her a visit, hoping she would lend him a hand in his time of need. The front door creaked open reluctantly as Jeremy pushed it ajar. The air inside was thick with an unsettling stillness. He cautiously entered the dimly lit living room, where the only source of light emitted from a flickering candle on a dusty table. The room seemed frozen in time, adorned with antique furniture, draped in moth-eaten covers. There, seated in a high-backed chair, was Aunt Agatha, her silhouette barely discernible in the shadows. Salem, the black cat, lounged at her feet, its eyes gleaming with intensity. Agatha's voice, raspy and haunting, broke the silence. "So the prodigal nephew returns," she croaked, her eyes fixed on Jeremy. Jeremy, attempting to mask his desperation, forced a smile. "Aunt Agatha, it's been too long. I was hoping we could catch up." Agatha's laughter echoed through the room, sending shivers down Jeremy's spine. "Catch up, you say? With what? Your endless string of failed endeavours and playboy antics? I've been watching you, dear boy." Undeterred, Jeremy cut to the chase. "Aunt Agatha, I find myself in a really tight spot. Financially, you know. I was wondering if you could help me out." Agatha's eyes glinted with amusement. "Help you out? You, who never learned the value of hard work? You've always been a scrounger, just like your parents." Jeremy's temper flared. "My parents did their best. They're gone, and I'm here trying to make something of myself. I thought family was supposed to support each other." Agatha leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "Your parents, bless their souls, probably departed this world to escape the burden of supporting your entitled existence." The tension in the room escalated, and the argument intensified. In the midst of the heated exchange, Salem rose from its place, his eyes locking onto Jeremy with an unsettling intensity. As the shadows in the room seemed to converge, Aunt Agatha's laughter transformed into an eerie chant. "You seek help, but the price is steep. A sacrifice to be paid for a pact made." The next day, the amber glow of the streetlights flickered through the thick London fog. Jeremy anxiously loitered outside his aunt's house, awaiting the familiar sound of the ambulance. Tuesday, the day of Aunt Agatha's health check, had become a beacon of opportunity for Jeremy, a chance to delve into the mysteries hidden within her peculiar abode. The ambulance arrived on time, and Jeremy's heart quickened. He watched as Aunt Agatha, frail and shrouded in a worn coat, was escorted into the vehicle. As it pulled away, he seized the moment and stealthily entered the house, his eyes scanning the rooms for any sign of hidden wealth. With each step, the ancient floorboards groaned beneath his weight, adding to the tension that gripped the air. The room, filled with an unsettling stillness, revealed little about the secrets they harbored. Drawers were opened and rifled through, the bed lifted in a futile search for hidden compartments, yet Jeremy found nothing that hinted at the source of his aunt's mysterious wealth. "I know she has a stash somewhere," he muttered under his breath. "She always has money, and she's never worked a day in her life." Frustration gnawed at Jeremy as the minutes ticked away. He pressed on, determined to uncover the enigma that surrounded Aunt Agatha. The back garden beckoned, its darkness concealing secrets of its own. As Jeremy stepped outside, he noticed Salem, the black cat, perch atop a peculiar mound of earth. "Stupid cat," he sneered. "That's probably where she buried her husband." Undeterred by the ominous atmosphere, Jeremy approached the mound, casting a weary glance at Salem. The cat's eyes glowed, an ethereal light dancing within them. Jeremy's hand dug into the soil, uncovering not hidden treasure, but something far more macabre, a collection of bones arranged in a grotesque pattern. A shiver ran down Jeremy's spine, and the reality of the situation dawned upon him. Time was slipping away, and he knew he had to retreat before Aunt Agatha's return. His nerves, a volatile mix of fear and desperation, urged him to leave the garden, just as the distant hum of the ambulance echoed through the foggy night. Jeremy slipped away, leaving the secrets of Aunt Agatha's house untouched, for now. Now we're going to have a short scare break while you ease your nerves. So while you're waiting, don't forget, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and stab that subscribe button right now. As doing so, you'll really help the professor spread his shadow of evil. Now, let's get back to the story. The fog that had shrouded Aunt Agatha's house during Jeremy's previous visit seemed to have settled within his mind, clouding his judgment as he returned the next day, driven by desperation and a determination to secure the elusive wealth he believed his aunt possessed. "Auntie, I need this money. I can get it back to you within a week. But if I don't get it, I'm done for," Jeremy pleaded, his eyes searching for a glimmer of sympathy in Agatha's cold gaze. Agatha, however, remained unmoved, her laughter echoing through the dimly lit room. "Your problem, my boy, not mine." Frustration bubbling within him, Jeremy persisted, accusing her of harboring hidden wealth. The atmosphere grew tense, and Agatha's laughter morphed into an ancient cackle. "When you visited yesterday, did you find anything?" Jeremy, his patience waning, erupted into a frenzy, tearing through the house in a desperate search for answers. His exploration led him to Agatha's personal space, where he stumbled upon a will. As his eyes scanned the document, the revelation struck him like a lightning bolt. Everything would be bequeathed to the mysterious society, ensuring the care of Salem, the enigmatic cat. "You're crazy! This house is worth over £1 million! All for a cat?" Jeremy exclaimed, incredulous at the unexpected turn of events. Agatha, ascending the stairs, demanded the will back. Panic seized Jeremy as he clutched the document, realizing the magnitude of the inheritance he stood to lose. In a moment of reckless fury, he pushed Agatha. The Frau woman tumbled down the stairs, her head striking the steps with a sickening thud. She lay lifeless at the bottom. The weight of what he had done pressed heavily on Jeremy's conscience, but the allure of sudden wealth drowned out the echoes of guilt. He fled the scene, taking the will with him. Days later, the phone rang, delivering news that would alter Jeremy's fate. "Your aunt has died, and you're the only living relative. With no will to be found, you stand to inherit her home." The irony of the situation hung in the air as Jeremy grappled with the unforeseen consequence of his actions. Little did he realize that the shadows within Aunt Agatha's house held secrets far darker than he could ever have imagined. In the wake of Aunt Agatha's demise, Jeremy reveled in the newfound sense of power and ownership. Within the ancient walls of her home, The allure of an easy fortune from selling the property consumed his thoughts, but a nagging suspicion whispered that the old woman had hidden wealth yet to be discovered. Determined to leave no stone unturned, Jeremy spent the entire day tearing through every nook and cranny. Frustration mounted as his exhaustive search yielded nothing. However, as dusk settled and the shadows deepened, he noticed Salem, the mysterious black cat, perched on the familiar mound of earth outside. An inexplicable connection seemed to form as Jeremy approached the cat. In the silence between them, a message echoed in his mind, not conveyed in words, but in a profound sense of instinct. Put your hand in the mound. Obliging the silent command, Jeremy's fingers brushed against something. Paper, and lots of it. He pulled out a wad of money, his heart pounding with triumph. "Yes!" he exclaimed, realizing that the amount in his hands was precisely what he needed to settle a debt with a menacing loan shark. In a frenzied rush, Jeremy left the house, eager to appease the looming threat of the loan shark. The transaction completed, relief washed over him. However, the elation was short-lived as he returned to the house, realizing the loan shark demanded double the amount in interest. Panic set in as Jeremy, desperate for more money, thrust his hand back into the mound. To his horror, there was nothing. "Where is it?" he cried, frustration boiling over. The cat, perched atop the mound, fixed its eyes on Jeremy, a thought, unspoken, yet unmistakably present. To have more, a sacrifice must be made and buried in the mound. Jeremy recoiled, shock etched across his face. The cat's enigmatic gaze held a weight of ancient knowledge, and a sinister realization crept over Jeremy. The shadows that lurked within Aunt Agatha's house were not just a repository of secrets, they demanded a price for the wealth they bestowed. Jeremy's resolve wavered at the ominous suggestion from Salem the cat, and he couldn't fathom making a sacrifice for additional wealth. Determined to avoid such dark dealings, he decided to rid himself of Salem by taking the cat to the vet. As he reached out to grab Salem, an excruciating pain coursed through Jeremy's body, causing him to convulse and lose consciousness. The world blurred into darkness, and Jeremy found himself trapped in a realm of agony. Eventually, he awoke to a persistent knocking on the door. Disorientated and still recovering from the pain, he stumbled to open it. To his horror, one of the loan shark's heels was menacingly standing there. "So this is your new place. Very nice," the thug remarked, eyeing the surroundings with a sinister grin. "We could use a place like this." Desperation clawed at Jeremy, and he hastily declared, "I've got your money, follow me." As they walked towards the mysterious mound outside, Jeremy's mind raced. In a bold move, he pointed to the ground. "It's in there. I buried it. You'll find 50,000 there." The thug, showing little hesitation, thrust his hand into the mound. Seizing the opportunity, Jeremy gripped a shovel and swung it with all his might. The thug crumpled onto the mound, but to Jeremy's horror, the earth seemed to consume the man in a matter of seconds. A profound silence settled over the scene, broken only by the unsettling sound of the soil. As the realization of what just happened sank in, Jeremy hesitated. Then, a sinister thought took hold. If a sacrifice was the price for wealth, he now possessed the key. With trepidation, Jeremy thrust his hand into the mound, unsure of what dark forces he was awakening. To his astonishment, his fingers brushed against cool, crisp paper. As he pulled out a wad of money, the mound seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. The unholy bargain, struck with the shadows of Aunt Agatha's house, had taken a terrifying turn, and Jeremy found himself entangled in a web of supernatural forces that demanded more than he could ever have imagined. Jeremy, intoxicated by the newfound wealth, stared at Salem, with a greedy glint in his eyes. "I want more. Lots more," he declared, his desires spiraling into a dangerous obsession. That night, Jeremy indulged in a lavish lifestyle, reveling in the excesses that his ill-gotten wealth afforded him. Clad in new clothes, he frequented bars, showering strangers with drinks and flaunting his newfound affluence. As the night unfolded, he invited a woman to his home, the allure of his wealth promising an evening of luxury. Entering the house, Salem greeted them casually, a deceptive calmness in the air. "Oh, don't mind him, he's just getting hungry," Jeremy explained with a grin. The couple ventured into the garden for a moonlit drink, the mound of earth casting a haunting silhouette in the dim light. Seizing the opportunity, Jeremy pushed the unsuspecting woman onto the mound, expecting a repeat of the previous night's macabre reward. Yet, nothing happened. Puzzled, she quipped, "Oh, the kinky type, huh?" Undeterred, Jeremy called out to Salem, "Come on, Salem, here's your lunch." To his dismay, the cat remained indifferent. Then the pain returned, an excruciating reminder of the pact forged in the shadows. Writhing on the ground, Jeremy's head, the echoing thought in his mind, "You must make the sacrifice." Panicking, Jeremy shouted out, "Okay, okay." The woman, sensing the bizarre turn of events, began to leave. In a fit of desperation, Jeremy seized her and started to strangle her on the mound. Suddenly, strong hands pulled Jeremy away. Two men, drawn to his wealth and hoping for an easy theft, had followed him to his home. "You crazy man?" one of the men said. The woman escaped, but the men, uncaring about the situation, revealed their true intentions with a knife. "Salem, if I'm dead, who'll feed you?" Jeremy pleaded. Salem looked up, stopped grooming himself. As he jumped off the mound, he casually strolled between the two men. The two men looked at the cat and laughed. Suddenly, a chilling transformation. A reddish mist seemed to engulf Salem, as his feline form transformed into a tall skeletal figure draped in a tattered red cloak. The men, shocked and horrified, were thrown into the mound and consumed instantly. The skeletal figure turned towards Jeremy, a semblance of a smile on its skull-like visage, before reverting to the small cat. The truth behind Aunt Agatha's house unfolded in horrifying ways as Jeremy realized the malevolent forces that he unleashed were beyond his control. Jeremy, overwhelmed by the horrors that unfolded, found himself compelled to seek payment from the mysterious forces that dwelled within the ominous mound. Hopeful, yet apprehensive, he plunged his hand into the earth after the two men had been consumed, yearning for a reward, but once again the void offered nothing. Then searing pain returned, relentless and excruciating. Writhing on the ground, Jeremy pleaded for mercy. Desperation etched on his face. A sinister thought invaded his mind. "Place your arm in the mound as payment for my service." "You want my arm?" said Jeremy. Terrified, but concerned, he resisted the idea. The pain persisted. "Okay," he relented, attempting to escape, but the agony intensified. Lying on the ground, fading in and out of consciousness, Jeremy was presented with an ultimatum by Salem, the feline harbinger of darkness. "Sacrifice your arm, or eternal pain." Weak and defeated, he reluctantly agreed, whispering, "Okay, stop, I'll do it." As he stumbled towards the mound, a forgotten element lay in the dark. The girl's handbag. Unseen by Jeremy, it caught his foot, causing him to trip and fall head first into the mound. The world went dark, and his body went limp, a decapitated figure collapsing to the ground. Salem, perched on the mound, began to groom itself, emitting a contented purr. In the eerie silence, the police arrived shortly after responding to the girl's claims of abuse from Jeremy. They discovered his headless body, a wheel protruding from his jacket. The mysteries that lurked within Aunt Agatha's house had claimed another victim, and Jeremy's fate served as a chilling reminder of the unforgiving forces that exacted a toll for the pursuit of unbridled desires. As the final chapter closed, the shadows within the house retained their secrets, and Salem, the enigmatic cat, continued its vigil over the mound, a silent witness to the horrors that unfolded, the pursuit of wealth, and the price paid in the shadows of the supernatural. And if you're still looking to fulfill your thirst for more horror, don't forget to check out this next video, unless of course you're frozen with fear already.